What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your #1 Embrace coach. And I want to let you know that my book, The Embrace Method, How to Leverage Your Trauma and Pain to Live the Life of Your Dreams, the second edition is now available on Amazon for purchase. Through heartfelt anecdotes, practical exercises, and profound insights, this book will show you how to confront your demons, heal your wounds, and emerge stronger and more resilient, ready to embrace a future with limitless possibilities. Remember, embracing your pain is the first step to transforming it into power. Be sure to get your copy today. And remember, embrace your struggles, embrace your successes, and most importantly, embrace yourself. Visit www.embracemethod.com to learn more about the Embrace Method book and the Embrace Framework.
Welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the essence of culture, our experiences, and a healing journey that shapes our growth and family. Through heartfelt stories about marriage, mental health, relationships, and parenting, we create a space where you can find connection, understanding, and inspiration. Join us as we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time. It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your #1 Embrace coach, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, the one and only
Angie, La Cyber Mommy.
In the building. Angie, please give us an update from the ice caps of where you're at.
We're smothered, covered, capped with snow.
Capped with snow. It has been unbearable in the Northeast.
2 feet, then 12 inches. Then 3 inches yesterday.
Was that what it was? Was it 3? I was out there shoveling and I couldn't tell because
I didn't even shovel, bro. I was just like, I'm gonna drive up and down the driveway a few times. I'm over it. And Wallace left. I was like, this is not the soft life I envisioned. I'm not sure.
Not sure it's soft. The snow is soft.
No.
Yeah, no, it has been unbearably I wouldn't even say cold. It's just a lot of accumulation. Mm-hmm. My back has been screaming. We're slated to get another 14 to 17 inches next week.
So we got an email from the school district that school is going to be happening because they've missed already 6 days due to weather already. And it's not even March. They're going to have school currently until June 25th.
When are they supposed to stop school?
Like June 4th or something.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
I mean, there's something for her to do. Then it's like, I'm saving money on summer camp. So it's like, go to school till August, honestly.
But when does summer camp start, though? Doesn't it usually start
It starts
in June?
middle of June. That's what I'm saying. We're saving 2 weeks-ish on summer camp.
But can she join late? Or does she have to
join?
Yeah.
You pay by week.
Oh, okay. Because I know that some programs don't allow children to enroll after the first date because
I don't know them
programs. Like that. Well, I was in.
This is my second summer, so I've only had to do this. This is my second summer with summer camp. But yeah, so June 25th, they got to go to school.
Dang,
so
crazy.
Far, and now we're gonna get how many inches? It's gonna be a lot. And then Wallace, because there was no public school, but then Aria did have daycare, and Wallace went in the wild to go take her to daycare.
In the wild?
Yeah. And
wait, on Tuesday?
He got stuck in the snow.
It was still snowing on Tuesday, wasn't it? No. Actually, it stopped.
But he hadn't finished shoveling. Yes. And they didn't clean all the roads because, they clean main roads first, not the, I don't want to call them dirt roads, but, like side roads to get.
Dang, I feel.
You live
hurt.
in the boonies. So I know they weren't cleaning here.
My heart.
They were cleaning.
No, they were actually, they were. I'll tell you how I knew they were.
Your neighborhood is clean.
No, they were clearing the street. You want to know how I know they were clearing the street? Because I was out there with my snowblower and my beard was frozen and I was shoveling and I look around and I see the plow all the snow that I just shoveled right back into my driveways. You know what I did? Took my snowblower and I parked that mug right in the front of my driveway. And I was shoveling there. And I was looking at them like this. I was like,
skip me.
Try it. Do it again. Say something. Do it again.
Skip my house.
Picked up the blade, went right past the driveway. I'm like, why couldn't you just do that to begin with, bro?
They don't.
You know, half of the people on this block are retired and elderly. Like, what are you doing, man? So
yeah, shout out to neighbors though, because again, when my neighbors see that the tour bus isn't parked outside, they come and do what they can if they're home. So I'm very grateful. But yeah, I'm not gonna go out there find me. You can't. I'm not shoveling the sidewalk, please.
We had an earlier episode where me and Angie went back and forth. So remember, we went back and forth about shoveling and getting gas.
Oh yeah, I'm not pumping my gas, and I'm definitely not shoveling, and I'm not taking the trash out.
To be fair, I always do the shoveling. Mm-hmm. Julie's helped me, but only when Lito wasn't here. Mm-hmm. So one person, if you have young kids, is inevitably going to get stuck doing the grunt work, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on what side you're on, I mean, the grunt work might be watching your child. The grunt work might be doing the snow. I mean, we're more than open to switching, but I think things are working right now as they should. So.
Listen, I'm all for equal rights, but the feminism in me dies when the snow's outside. I'm not doing it.
All right, you know what? That is fine. That's your prerogative. If you don't want to shovel, you don't have to shovel. If you're listening to this podcast and you're watching us now, you don't have to shovel if you don't want to. You might not go anywhere, but you might not have to shovel. But if you don't shovel, whether or not you do or do not shovel, you need to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow so we can get Roots and Rhythm up here where we're going to the trajectory point of to the top.
Mm-hmm. Enough with the snow because it's coming back. What are we doing today, Vlad? Who is here?
It is coming back. So I would love. I'm excited about this episode, and we guys are going to get a lot of great value in here. So our guest today is a person that I met 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, you know, to give it a little backstory, through networks that all go back to Jules, because this is the social work world. And, you know, as I'm trying to get into the men's space and whatever, I get introduced to a man named Craig. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Craig. What's up, Craig? Mr. Martin. He's the man. Shout out CCM. If you know, you know. And so, you know, he's putting on this summit called the Black Boy Joy Summit. And I'm like, Black Boy Joy? I'm a black boy.
I'm a boy, yeah.
I'm a black boy. Yeah. I'm a black man with a boy inside who's raising a black boy. Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it. You know, long story short, he invites me to do a workshop. And as I'm going through the process, you know, we're getting closer and closer to the event. Mm-hmm. And I've spoken at actually, this was like my first event that I spoke at, like an organized major event, not like a classroom or something. And so I didn't know what expectations I had. But as we got closer to the event, the marketing person made sure that all of the participants hopped on a call. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm retired from the state police. So I haven't been on a work call in a long time. Okay. So I'm like, I got to turn my camera on. Bro.
Jealous, but continue.
You know what I'm saying? I turn my camera on, got to be on. I was blown away at how intentional, detailed, and organized this event was. And it gave me like a morsel of an understanding of what went into planning for this event. Mm-hmm. And this woman, when she had the stuff set up, Angie, she had data, she had charts, she had pictures.
I love that.
Like she had a complete understanding of this event and the outcomes of the event before the event even started.
Yeah, we were chatting it up before, and it's because she's a Florida girl.
Okay, you know what?
Everything is manicured. Everything is beautiful. Great things do come from Florida.
It's the palm trees, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
I'm going to let you jump into her bio, but I just have to share this story. I remember when I first moved up here, and I had never visited before. Mm-hmm. I literally, Wallace got the job up here. I moved here. The first day I got on a plane to come here was the first day I was coming to Massachusetts. I get off the plane, and we're starting to drive. And I'm like, everything here is so ugly. It was April, right? There's no flowers in like the toll booth plaza. And I'm like, why are they not like making this beautiful for like tourists or like
flowers
visitors?
In the toll booth?
There was nothing at the toll booth. Everything was ugly.
Wow.
So I appreciate attention to detail and beautification. It might be because Florida. But well, continue.
I think you're onto something with that because anyway, so but that was my intro to our guest. And outside of her organization, outside of her just how well this event went, she's very personable. She's a whole vibe, and she is a business owner. She is an entrepreneur. She's a founder. She's just everything.
She's a marketing guru,
and she's a marketing guru here to give us the skinny or the thick, depending on how much you want to get into it, on what it means to take a company, a person from obscurity
to clarity.
Thank you. She filled that in for me. I like that. So listen, y'all, I don't even want to get too into the weeds here. I want, with no further ado, to introduce our esteemed guest. Please welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast and the Roots and Rhythm community, Miss Desiree Whitehead. Let's go.
Welcome.
Desiree, what's up, sister? Welcome to Roots and Rhythm. I know you in Florida. So, we got the little palm trees in our marketing stuff, but we are very, very happy for you to bring that heat to this podcast.
Yes, especially because it's way too cold, way too snowy up there. Y'all are frozen, buried under snow. Yep. I'm looking outside. I see blue skies. It's 75 degrees. I'm not trying to gloat, but yeah, it's just life is good down here.
It's real, man. It is real. It is real. So I want us to do this. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you do? We're going to get into the thick of it, but even outside of what you do, because I don't really like using that phrase, because not everybody does things. You don't need to do things. You're a human being, not a human doing. So give us a snapshot of who Desiree Whitehead is.
Ooh, who is Des? Okay, so I am a girl's girl. I am a person who loves passionately everything that I do. I'm a person who loves community, loves tribes, loves finding ways to help people. I'm a dog lover. I am, I think I'm in a world where I know exactly what my purpose is on earth. And every day I wake up thankful that I have another day. And so I just try to live in that purpose. It just so happens that I also started a marketing business after leaving corporate America. But it's so much more than that, right? Like I have so much integrity and passion for marketing that I want to share with the world that I decided to create a business of good people doing good marketing. Because in a world where there's bad people that just want to take your money, I want it to be different. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I love that. Because it's so true. You never know until it's like at the end of different things when it's like, oh, all they want me is to buy their stupid ebook.
Right.
It's like, it's not genuine. Like they're not like, they don't want to get to know me. They just want my money.
Correct. Yeah. And that's definitely not how we operate. So yeah.
Desiree, tell us a little bit more, because you touched on something that is going to really sit with a lot of our audience members, because a lot of your audience members are parents, they're young people, they're raising young people, but they're ambitious, right? They have dreams, they have goals, and you know how many of us are just playing the game.
We're playing the game. We're here for the insurance, girl,
Yeah, here for the insurance to pay the benefits, right? But many of us have dreams to be our own people. So give us a little bit more about how and why you went from corporate America to creating your own corporate America.
Yes. Oh, I love telling this story. I think a lot of people can resonate with it because I was just a girl that loved doing good work. Genuinely. I was a corporate girly since leaving high school. I graduated at 17, immediately went into corporate America as a public relations and marketing manager. But I found my heart and soul in nonprofit. And that's where I was for 10 years. I had my 18th birthday there, my 21st and my 25th birthday. And a lot of people don't have that, right? Like my parents had longevity in corporate jobs, but a lot of youth, people in my generation don't. And hard work is something that my family like literally ingrained in us since we were young. It's know yourself, know your worth, know your value, and no one can tell you who you are because you wake up every morning and you know who you are. And so I loved corporate, right? I was throwing events, running campaigns, doing ads, having fun. But what I realized as I was climbing this corporate ladder, every single person that was above me was an older white male who was intimidated by this young, ambitious, and hungry Black woman coming in to change and shake things up. It wasn't coming from a place of, I'm not trying to point out what you're not doing, but I operate with so much integrity and everything I do goes back to numbers. Numbers don't lie. And so very quickly, I climbed that ladder. I was the CMO at huge, cruise lines. I've been in the moving industry. I've done a lot of things, but I had a moment where I hit an integrity cap, right? A lot of people talk about hitting, a financial ceiling. I could no longer make any more money. I left corporate making six figures. I was making six figures for the last 10 years in corporate before I exited, but hitting an integrity cap is crazy. Like I was so sick of being looked over for promotions, being told, hey, I know you made us $5 million last quarter. We can't give you that $5,000 raise. And so I hit a moment where I leaned on my morals and my values. And I said, I know my worth. I know my value. and I love marketing. So instead of just being one person that works at one company and can only impact one company, I decided to exit corporate America. I let go, let God, and said, you got me, right? And the month that COVID hit down here in Florida, even though y'all know Florida, it was like there was no COVID, but we digress. But I took a leap of faith at the start of COVID. So when the world shut down, I decided to leave my cushy job, leave a guaranteed 6 figures, because I knew that I could build a business that everybody would want to work with.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Vlad the Bull, your #1 Embrace coach. Listen, I know that you are enjoying this Roots and Rhythm podcast episode, but I want to take a minute to talk to my fellas. Let's talk energy and vitality. If you've been feeling low, sluggish, or not quite yourself in the bedroom, it's time to check out the Natural E-Man. It's a powerful, all-natural men's supplement created by a good brother I trust, Dr. Quentin Cancel, someone I met in my men's group who's all about holistic health and real results. Trust me, I've seen the impact firsthand. So if you're ready to level up your energy, confidence, and performance, visit naturaleman.com and feel the difference. That's naturaleman.com. The link's in the show notes. All right, y'all, let's get back to the podcast. You know, I'm just gonna call it what it is, because this is Roots and Rhythm podcast. Before we were chatting, Des, and you were like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to talk about myself because of, imposter syndrome, which is real for everybody. But most people who are making 6 figures would have hit that integrity gap, or that integrity cap rather, and have stayed.
Oh, it's scary.
Shrunk.
It's scary to take a leap. So Desiree, fearless.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean,
because you don't know what's there. You don't know what's there. And it's like, I think that's the corporate bubble. It keeps you like in this like safety, right? Because it's not, you're not putting anything on the line. It's not your company.
Correct.
So it's like, that's what keeps you stuck until you are like, no more.
No more.
Way to do that. Yes.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into marketing, and when did you realize like marketing was a love of your life? It wasn't just a job, but it was a calling for you.
Ooh, I think I knew it very early on. Like, I think about who I was in elementary school, middle school, and high school. I was on the dance team, the cheer team, the step team. I was designing pep rally banners, right, that that the football team would run through. I was working in the front office. I was in student government. Like, I have just been this girl who loves people, loves purpose, loves helping. And so it wasn't until I was ready to graduate high school and I was like, okay, it's time for me to get a job. And I wanted to leave high school knowing that I had a corporate job. It was just, my mother was a corporate girly. My father was a corporate dude. And so for me, it just made sense. But I was so intentional about thinking about all the skills that I had. I'm like, ooh, I love crafting. I love designing things. I was making PowerPoints for my teachers in high school. And so I think what I realized is, how can I use all of these skills to showcase my creativity, to showcase how much I love talking to and interacting with people. And naturally, I realized that I was a marketer and a public relations communications individual. So I entered in the nonprofit world, and I just knew it felt like a comfy pair of jeans. Like when I tell you, the end of an event, when people look at you and walk up to you and shake your hand and say, thank you for doing an event that matters. For example, Cafe Europa. This was an event dedicated to Holocaust survivors. That's a crazy statement, knowing how long ago the Holocaust happened. And I got to go around and interview and speak with survivors and look at the branding and their tattoos. Like, this was something that I can't even explain. It was life-changing. And I realized in that moment that I had a gift to understand hardship, understand pain, and understand purpose, so that I can tell the story of why giving matters, why supporting us matters. And that moment, I'm telling you, it was like rainbows, butterflies. It was so crystal clear to me. It was like God spoke to me and said, this is your calling. And I dived all the way in. I was a marketing manager for them for my first year. And that moment when I had finished my first gala, I came in the next day and said, I need to be your director of marketing. I no longer want to handle public relations because everything I want to do is to bring this company more money. And by the end of it, they went from making about $1 million a year to on average having $5 to $10 million annually.
Woo! Way to rock that. Yes.
Let's
go. It's always been in me. I think I just didn't know that it was marketing until I realized that I went to a career fair and met with a bunch of people, and they were like, oh, I have this role for you. It sounds great using all your skills. So it's always been there until I realized that I was a marketer. Yeah.
Wow. It's always been there. And it's interesting because in high school, I didn't really think much of the pep rallies or the audit, or what they call them, the assemblies and all the other things that happen. Somebody had to be bringing that to the forefront. Yeah. Somebody had to be finding what that message was behind that event and making it accessible for the student body. And so when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about marketing. I wasn't thinking about a lot of things. But even in that, even just as now, when you were telling your story, I was like, wow, that is how you know that you have a gift, when you've been actually operating in marketing or whatever that your gift is. You've been doing it without for your entire life without knowing. Yeah. So a lot of people, because you mentioned COVID, we know what the Great Resignation was. It was in those few periods of COVID between 2020 and I think 2022 that you saw people leaving their jobs in droves. And it's because of what you just said right there. And I don't know exactly where the Great Resignation stands, if people are still leaving. But it wasn't until the world shut down and everybody was forced to slow down, like you said.
Like, I can't do this anymore.
Like, why am I even here? You know, it's like when you're playing a sport and you've got 500 cuts on your arms and legs just in the course of the game, and you don't realize that until you're walking away. Like, dang, I got jacked up, man. I'm bleeding. Can I get a doctor?
Well, when you're in the thick of it, right? Your adrenaline was running, so you didn't realize that you had all those injuries, and that is the same analogy for what people in corporate America got to experience when COVID happened. And I say this because in COVID, my business blew. It went from what I was calling a small business to being an enterprise. We had taken our clients who were attorneys and these businesses that relied on foot traffic. And they were panicking because they were like, what are we going to do? People are going to leave us. We're going to lose these retainers. And I said, no, we're going to educate. We're going to tell people, even though our offices are closing, we're opening office hours digitally, right? So you can be in front of us. I started launching YouTube series because I'm like, you still have things to say. Now make it relevant to the time. Help tell people how they could be applying for all of those grants and everything that were happening around COVID, because business owners were suffering. But I think the piece about adrenaline pumping, the world was forced to stop. People were let go. So that Great resignations, it was also a lot of people choosing themselves over corporate, because being home during corporate, people were around their family, right? They were with their loved ones. Some people lost loved ones. I lost my grandfather to COVID during COVID. And
me too.
Right? And I feel for you. And so I think people came out of COVID saying, wait a minute, I've been bamboozled. And why do I not have work-life balance, right? Those are the terminologies we started hearing a lot more post-COVID. And people wanted more out of life.
And it's interesting. I argue that people always wanted more, but didn't have the permission or the circumstances to chase it.
Because the companies didn't think it could work.
Right.
And then what happened? Now everyone's at home, and guess what? It's the same revenue coming in. Wow. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Now, Desiree, I got to ask you this. What do you think about companies allowing their employees to work from home? Is it a good, because some companies have shown, and data has shown, that people are more productive when they don't have as much oversight. That's not the same for everybody. I worked with a couple of people that I'm like,
there's people that abuse it for sure. Yeah. But and Desiree, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a large percentage of people, if you give them the autonomy, are still going to perform.
Correct. And that's exactly what happened. It was this huge mindset shift. And being the corporate girl, right, who had to make the decisions even at the start of COVID. I was still in corporate. So we had to do, I forgot what they were called, but we had to lay people off, right? And that was a hard decision. But what I realized is that to Angie's point, if you had an employee that was performing in the office, that's not going to change just because they're working from home. They will figure out how to turn the corner of their living room into an office so that they can still be on camera and take meetings. You know, they're going to perform better, not just because they have less oversight, but because they feel like they really have to. And I think accountability is what happened for people that were allowed, right, in the beginning to work remotely. And what happened was those businesses realized, productivity didn't change. Revenue didn't drop, right? And if it dropped, it was more because the world shut down, not because of what our team was doing. And it just, you could no longer force people to say, well, you're not going to be productive from home. I need you in office. And it's like, well, we were already home for 6 months and nothing failed. So I'd love to be partial. So I think companies should lean in. You know, for Howl, our entire team is remote. I have one person in South Florida, but she's remote. Do we meet monthly? Absolutely. But I have people in London that work for me, right? People in Pakistan. I have people up in the Northeast and on the West Coast. But at the end of the day, people are who they are, and being remote will only show you who your performers are. And then you just need to let go of the people that aren't performing, right? Respectfully.
Yeah. And honestly, not going into the office makes me do more work because I'm not commuting.
Correct.
And people ain't stopping me in the cafeteria to chit chat.
Exactly.
So it's like when I go into the office, I go in for like fun events. Like, oh, someone's visiting. We have an office in Weston. When the people come up from Weston, I'll go to the office. I do zero work that day.
No,
Literally
so
zero.
It's so true.
Because we're socializing. We're not working. You know what I mean?
And that's what I find fascinating too, because there are companies like Amazon who are forcing everybody to go back into the office that needs to, arguing that company culture is at stake, that people aren't meeting face to face, that there's something there about being in community with people in person that cannot be replicated in remote work. The
people that want to be part of the work community will show up because, again, we'll have events. So I'm a part of like our employee resource groups at work. Yes. We'll have in-person events and it's the same usual suspects that show up. You know what I mean? The people that want to come. But there's people that are required to go into the office that I know are there that don't come because they don't want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like the people that want to will and the people that don't just won't. So that's how it is.
And you can't force company culture.
You can't.
You know what I mean? Like you have to. So I'll give my own team for an example. We do all hands meetings at the end of the week where the whole team comes together. Everybody gets to share, hey, what went really well this week? What were any hardships that you had so that we can all learn how to get over those and set priorities for the next week? But when I tell you we all show up and show out, we kiki, we talk about life updates, but you have to want company culture to be a thing. Otherwise, you know, you're just kind of, you have employees that show up, you have employees that do this thing, but you have to have a culture for people to want to be a part of and want to engage in. If you're burning your employees out, that's why they're not going to show up to your house. Because you 40 to 60 hours from me a week. I don't care if we're having drinks. You're not getting enough.
No, ain't nothing happy right now. Yeah, I ain't showing up.
I was one of those people that I'm a gregarious, outgoing guy. But when COVID hit, I was working in investigations. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, the best part of this is that I don't have to go in to these weekly meetings and I don't have to listen to the stuff that has nothing to do with my work. Right. Because we'd have these weekly meetings, right, Desiree? And we'd be sitting for, at the most, almost an entire workday. Wow. 6 hours of my day wasted. And so when I first started going, I thought, okay, these are absolutely, here's what the agenda is. It tells us what we're going to talk about. Half the time it's just a bunch of, and I'm just going to be honest with you, like I'm the only black person, the only person of color in my unit. Yeah. And everybody's talking about camping and campers and fishing and all this.
For me.
I'm like, bro, I don't even know what you're talking about. You're speaking a language I don't understand. And on top of that, this has nothing to do with my work.
Correct.
So I just started going there and doing my own, I was just doing my work while they were all talking and ordering lunch. And I'd come with my prepped meals, and they thought I was crazy for not wanting to eat tater tots. I'm like, I ain't wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go to the gym to come here to eat tater tots. Okay. But to that point, there's something magical when you build a business that is not only authentic to what your skills are, but you can actually create the culture that you want to.
Yes.
that is accessible to most people. And I think to your point, Desiree, when you're trying to force culture, culture's not forced. It was never forced. If you look at the civilizations all across the world throughout history, nothing was ever forced. Things fell where they were. It was a reflection of who was there. And so I do applaud you for taking the temperature and also creating something that is not just profitable, but is also accessible.
Yeah. And there's a level of trust there too. If people like feel like they can be themselves, they can show up, like they know that you're not gonna, berate their like any thoughts that they have, or like to your point, everyone comes and says like what's going on. If they have like a feeling about something, that they can be open. So yeah, definitely good to have.
It is, man. And like I said, if COVID was going to be remembered for anything in history outside of all the global unfortunate deaths and losses that we suffered, I think it's also going to be remembered tantamount for how much culture shifted, especially in America, around the workplace culture, the workplace requirements, and what it means to be a successful business. Because brick and mortar, like I said, in police work, you can't do police work remotely. Right?
Yeah, there are a lot of industries where you can't be remote.
You can't be remote, but there are. But I think what it showed is that we could actually be a lot more flexible. Than we're allowing ourselves to be. Yeah. On that topic, a lot of members of our audience are entrepreneurs in the making. I'd like to say people with an idea and with a voice, and even with a brand idea, with nowhere, just in planet nowhere. I've got all these ideas. I'm talking to myself in the desert, and I don't know how to get started. So, for you, how do you help entrepreneurs craft, brand messaging that feels authentic and aligned with who they truly are, and not just what they think they will sell? Because I think oftentimes we get lost in trying to make a buck, and that we're willing, and then we consecrate exactly what it is that we want to share with the world versus what it is what we want to take from the world. So how do you do that?
Ooh, okay. This is an easy one, right? And I think I have this framework called the DOPE framework, and this is the D, which is actually it's the O, sorry. It's own your story, right? And I think authenticity starts with identity. So if you don't know who you are, if you don't know yourself, then it's a hard place to start. But what I tell people is think about every chapter of your life, every prayer that you had, every scar that you got, every win, especially all the losses that you had, because that is what gives you purpose. And then you take your story and now you say, okay, this is my story, but how can I tell this story of if you have a product, if you have a service? People will buy your product if it's right for them. People will pay for your service if it's right for them, but they will not pay you if they don't understand the person delivering the service. And I think that's what people don't people don't get that point. They think Apple, right? They think all of these really big names, but at the end of the day, we trust Apple products, right? Because Steve Jobs, for so long before he passed, made sure that he was building innovation, right? He was on the cutting edge of technology. And so when I think about Steve Jobs as an example, he was very true to who he was. He's like, I want to make the world better. I want iPods, right? AirPods, all of the evolution. It went back to the pain points that he had when he was trying to use a computer. And then he wanted to have music on the go. And all he did was solve problems, right? But at the core, he knew who he was. He knew what he wanted Apple to be. He did not veer off of that path. And so I empower people to think, well, what is my value, right? What do I do? What am I trying to bring to the world? What is my story? And then if you do have a business or a service, you need to be thinking about who is the person on the other side that's receiving your message, right? And I think a lot of times people get carried away with trying to use buzzwords and make things sound good. And it's just like, people are very simple. They just want to know what you do, how it's going to benefit them or solve their problem, and that it will continue to work. And as long as you can do that for your audience, you're already well ahead of competitors. But it comes back to knowing who you are from the beginning, right? Like we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that, knowing who you are and who your audience is, because I shared this with Desiree earlier when we were chit-chatting, but I feel like that's why I hate LinkedIn, because I feel like people are so inauthentic on LinkedIn.
Yes.
You know, they will just try to sell you anything in the weirdest way, Vlad. Okay. Like, my dog just died. So sad, y'all. Let me tell you what that showed me about how to cater to my marketing needs here at X company.
It's like, wait, what?
Are we sad or not? You know, like, why is this like a sales pitch right now and your dog's dead? Like, I don't understand that. So those are definitely the packets or the ebooks I'm not buying, because how dare you pull at my heartstrings because your dog died.
Correct. And then try and flip and sell me. That's crazy.
Exactly. It's nuts.
It's not genuine, right? It's not.
No. Mm-hmm.
I think people in a world where imposter syndrome is real, it's like people try to follow trends, and it's just, hey, pause before you do that TikTok video. You are not a dancer. You're not a TikToker. Your audience is not millennials. Your audience isn't even on TikTok. So why are you trying to trace trends and do silly little dances when that's not your audience? So I think it really goes back to being authentic, which is a overused word, but it's about knowing who you are, trusting who you are, and then just being true to that, right? And not going and trying to get the likes, trying to get the engagement, and then flipping it, because you could have just said my dog died and let people be there for you and show up for you and then pitch them later, right? So it's about really staying true to who you are and not trying to trace trends and
The other thing with that too is, and I just thought about this right now because it's so cringy to me, is people using their kids.
Don't. Oh, okay. Talk about it.
Because so obviously we have children, but I'm not going to put my daughter out there because I want a like.
Correct.
Okay. Like, I don't want my kids out there forever, because the internet is forever.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and now I got my girls out here doing, to your point, TikTok dances just so I can sell an ebook. Like, be for real. And my kids have nothing to do with it. They didn't type a word of the ebook, but now they're out here selling it, you know? Yeah. So I hate when people use like their kids.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with kids. And I get it, right? Like, there's kid influencers or they're selling kid things, but it's like your kid has nothing to do with your, you know, marketing business or whatever. I don't know if you have kids or not, Desiree. I'm just, because we're talking marketing. But yeah, like, you know, so it's like, yeah, stop using your kids.
Well, that actually begs a question that was in my mind when you were speaking, Desiree, is how helpful do you feel like for entrepreneurs who are just starting out, even if it's just an idea, how helpful is social media, the state of social media as it is with the trends and how it goes? How helpful or hurtful is that to someone starting that business?
Ooh, how helpful or hurtful? I think it really depends, right? I think first it's, well, what do you do? Right? And like, where are the people who need your product or service? Where are they? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Are they in Facebook groups? Are they in real life? Right? Do they go to the mall? So figuring out where people are, and then as long as you know who you are and you've gotten your messaging down, you know what you're selling, then show up where people are. So I think it can definitely be helpful if it is where your audience lives, right? If you yourself know technology and you are able to leverage it because you don't want too big of a learning curve, or you work with someone that can help you. But it can absolutely be harmful if you're spending your whole day and your whole week making TikTok videos that no one's ever going to see, right?
Oh, dang.
It's a
right
real
for the hearts.
A waste of time.
Say it.
Energy. And it's just like that effort could have been put into creating a downloadable that was really informational, that says, hey, here's your problem. Here's how we solve it, right? Or giving people the game plan. Give people the ability to make decisions for themselves. So yeah, social media can absolutely be harmful if you're doing it and chasing trends versus showing up where you should be and where your audience is. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Now, do you feel like the trend chasing, because it can become inauthentic, right, to a degree? I mean, I'm on TikTok and I've never done a dance before. Okay, like I just don't. That's just not.
But
who
I feel
am.
Like there's trends for everything, right? Maybe not a dance trend, but there's like other trends about, you know, share. We did the one about 2016. Like that was a trend, but it was relevant to like what we talk about. So yeah, I think that there's trends that anyone can do, but stick to the ones that are in your lane if you're to Desiree's point, marketing, right? Like, what's your lane? Yeah. But yeah, don't do all of them. Just do the relevant ones.
Well, what do you say, Desiree, then to folks who are like, okay, my audience is on TikTok, my audience is on Instagram. Yep. And in order for me to build a following for people to see what I'm doing, I feel like I have to capitulate and maybe do a dance or a handstand or talk about what's trending. Like, what do you say to those people?
Yeah, start simple, right? Like, let's be honest, start simple, get on camera. And like, we've had these conversations. People need to feel human connection. Post-COVID, where we were all like shut in and not talking to people, and we had to transition from in-person meetings to being on video calls. Now with someone's going to kill me, but AI has made it very, very hard to be authentic. And I like to tell people that, because I don't need you going out there and doing the TikTok dance, but showing up on TikTok means making sure that your content is on the platform. So that might mean setting up your camera, talking about a problem, and just telling how you solve that problem through your service or your product. It doesn't need to have a trending audio. You don't need to have a fancy background. Just get on camera, be raw, have your bloopers. If you stumble over a word, don't restart, just keep going, because it's those micro instances that remind people, oh, this person's human. And that is what builds authentic connections with community, right? Of course, I could go deep and say, now there's some hashtags that you might want to use depending on what you're talking about to help bring visibility to your content. But that, if you were at least doing part one of recording the content and publishing it, right? Because you got to get it out there. Yep. You are light years ahead of where a lot of people are. And then you can ask questions, talk to experts, find your tribe of other people doing the same thing, and ask them, hey, what's working for you? We're in the same industry, or we have a similar service offering. You'd be surprised how many other people are actually willing to share what's working for them.
That's true, Vlad. And I feel like that's happened to us here, even with Roots and Rhythm and the things that we talk about in our relationships. There's people at my job that'll find our podcast organically and they're like, Angie, you never told us you had a podcast. Blah, blah. And I'm like, because this is work. Like, I'm not out here trying to tell people at work, like, find
leverage
my stuff.
Those communications.
Because a few times people are like, oh my gosh, like me and my sister want to start a podcast, remember? And I was like, oh, I'll call her. And I called her on Teams and we're chatting and she's asking like, well, what do you guys use and all this? And then Vlad was like, we need to charge people for this. And I'm like, well, not Lauren though, because everyone else. I literally have... Hello. I literally have Lauren on Teams, Vlad. Like the next person we will charge. But it's like people like are excited to see you living in your truth, I guess is what a good way to say it, right? Yeah, and then like, wow, you look so happy, excited doing this thing. Like, how did you get started? Like imposter syndrome. I've been wanting to do this and I haven't. Like, help me get there, you know? But again, she genuinely asked for help. I'm not going to pull a LinkedIn and be like, buy my ebook. When she's like my literal friend, you know?
Look, let me put my marketing hat on.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So Lauren was her name, right?
Yes. Shout out Lauren and her podcast.
Okay. So Lauren asked this question. You guys are chatting on Teams. You're answering all the questions. Des, the marketer, would have said, okay, now as soon as you wrap that call, what I would have done, and something that would have been authentic, is not pitching anything, but it would have been jumping on camera and saying, hey, y'all, we just had a call where we shared the softwares that we use, what's working behind the camera. Why? Because so many other people want to start podcasts. And now what you've done is just take a normal conversation that you had, but what we're talking about was a problem that a lot of people have. And I think if people started to reverse think about the questions that they get asked, you're getting asked a question because it's a pain point for someone, or they don't understand, or they need more information. And that's all I do. Like when people send me emails, when my clients, and I solve a problem live, as soon as I get off that call, I'm on my camera with my joystick and I'm like, so this is the problem that my customer just had, and this is how we gave them a solution. So like, you know, without even knowing, that would have been the most authentic way to flip that conversation so that other people that have the same questions about getting into podcasting could have found your content and then maybe started following you and things of that nature.
Hashtag idea, hashtag yes.
Wow.
I just saw Vlad's eyes light up. Yes. I love it.
That's what I love about this podcast, and I love about bringing good people into the Roots and Rhythm community, because my mind was here in Massachusetts. But as you were just sharing that nugget right there, my mind might as well have been in like Southern California.
It's global, baby.
That's global. Right. It's global. You never know who can be your community. And I think a lot of people don't realize, especially in the day and age of digital, you have the ability to have your community be across in another country, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody on God's green earth has a problem, right? Now, not everybody needs your product or your service as a solution, but the people that do need you will find you, as long as when you talk about yourself, you're talking about the problems that you're solving, and that you're showing up authentically.
Yeah. And navigating the social landscape. I mean, all of my attention has been on TikTok lately, and because that's where I have the most followers, and I feel like I just kind of Instagram, like, I don't feel like dealing with it, because I already don't like social media to begin with, in that regard. But I did feel that at first. Like if you go back to look at the first episode of Roots and Rhythm that we shot, or you look back at the first picture or video that you posted on TikTok, somebody told me like, yo, it's going to be trash, or it's just not going to be as good compared to where you're
perfect
coming.
It later. And I like to see the evolution. Like that first one was like not grainy, because it's still the same stuff, but it wasn't as edited as good as you do now. Like you've perfected that. And even like our transitions, we've always had good energy, but it's like we're just like more comfortable now.
Yeah, we found our flow, and I guess I never thought of that as even being a way to help get us in front of other people. So while we're on the topic of this digital landscape, right? We were talking about if social media is good or bad. Is it yay or nay for new entrepreneurs? But can you talk a little bit more about the challenges that we face in the digital landscape? Because we know that social media puts you on a global stage, right? But like and that can be good for your business or your product or your service. But what are some of the challenges that the average person encounters in that pursuit?
I feel like it's a knowledge gap, right? Like I think and sometimes it's maybe intimidating, but I think it always goes back to if you
I'll say that.
know your identity, right? And you know who you are and what you're trying to do. As long as you have that, you should just get started. But a lot of people are scared because it's daunting. If you're not a tech person and you're not naturally on social media, you might feel standoffish when it's time to go and shoot a video. But I think the way that you get over that is just kind of getting out there and doing the things. So whether it's social media, and if you have a business, you might be intimidated about having a website, right? And creating a website. But if you don't know that having a website will help people find you all over the world, you might deprioritize it. And so I think what I would say is mentorship and community are so important. If you are in an industry, if you have a skill set, find your tribe, find people. And when you're in community, right, like the Roots and Rhythm community, find a community that is either doing what you're doing and join it. Why? Because now you're going to see people that are well ahead of where you're at, right? Myself included. I'm a part of a lot of organizations that allow me to engage with people who have sold businesses, multiple businesses for millions of dollars. But I also have people underneath me who are solopreneurs, have just jumped out of corporate America, and I can mentor them or I can get mentored up. And so I think it's so important to find community, because that is going to shortcut your road to success. Your mentor, like finding community will help you find a mentor. A mentor will help give you guidance. Guidance helps you and prevents you from making some very expensive mistakes that you might have made just because you didn't know, right? So when navigating how to or should you have a digital presence, you need to really think, who am I? What am I offering? Who am I going after? And when you find your community and your tribe and your mentor, really ask that question of, where should I start, right? Should I start on social? Should I start with a website? And then I think that would really help lay the foundation for you to not just be doing a million things. You're doing a few intentional things that are getting your business ready to be in front of people. So it's really not putting the cart before the horse. It's taking the time to do the work before trying to go out there and say what you're doing.
Being faithful of a few. Sage advice that's timeless, right?
Yeah.
And to that, and I'm just gonna be real. Whenever you have an idea to start something, just like we did with this podcast, you want it to be perfect. And that perfection is almost like a reflection, I feel, of what your fears are. If it doesn't come out perfect, then I'm not perfect. If it doesn't come out smooth, then I'm not smooth. And that just reinforces all the fears I have about this anyway. Yeah. And I mean, that's part of what it was for Roots and Rhythm. Like, I just wanted things to look good, but that was still me shaking those shackles of that internal oppression, right? Of I'm trying to prove myself when I realize I ain't got nobody to prove myself to. And this is just something that I care about. I want to do. You wanted to do it. Like, Des, we were up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I think you might. We were up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, put our kids to bed. We should be sleeping, but we're up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And that's when
still yapping. Angie
was like, why don't we're sitting here yapping our faces off.
And it's like good stuff. Like, we were like having some deep conversations just about like parenthood and our marriages and like our relationships and the way that we grew up. Very similar. We both got old ass dads. And I was like, wow, Vlad, we really should start a podcast.
And I was like, oh, that sounds what's up. That's a great idea, right?
But he didn't take me serious. He's like, yeah, we should. And I was like, all right, so I'll be there Thursday. Right. And then we're gonna do this, okay?
She's not lying.
And he's like, oh. And I've been here every Thursday since.
A lot of people they don't realize that perfectionism can give you paralysis, right? Perfectionism can be a parachute, or it could be a rock and a boulder that holds you down. I'm a refined perfectionist.
Yes, recovering perfectionist is what I told Vlad that I am.
But it's a real, like, all of that plays into feeling like you have to be performative. And I think if you strip away all of the nerves that come with needing something to be perfect. And again, I still to this day, before I post something, I'm like, I'm just going to watch it 18 more times just to make sure I like what I'm saying.
Desiree, are you an eldest daughter?
I'm actually the baby, but my brother and I have a 6-year gap.
Okay.
You know, I feel like I was raised as a very like strong, independent black, young girl and became an independent black woman. But I'm a Virgo. That's really what you're picking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my husband's a Virgo. Yeah.
I don't know anything about signs.
My best friends, all my best friends are Virgos, and they are the perfectionists, and they'll call you out on your BS. Pretty much.
Respectfully and probably with a smile. Yeah. But we're also, we are perfectionists. We are perfectionists to a fault, right? But it's because we're so organized. We're so detail oriented. And Vlad, like you said, we want that output of what we see, the vision that we have in our head. If it doesn't come out like that the first time on paper, it's trash. I might as well ball it up and throw it in the garbage. But what you don't realize is that trash that you thought could be someone else's treasure. You could have just given someone a gem that they didn't know that they needed. And so I have a tribe, and I want to tell you guys this quick story, but I have a tribe that basically slapped me, right, virtually. And I was just like, hey guys, so can you look at this video? I kind of want to get it out. And they were like, Desiree, this is what we can show you one last time. Okay. We're not going to watch your video. Why? Because it's perfect, right? I don't need to watch it to know that it needs to be published. And what you need to realize is you need to stop seeking approval, right? And trying to get this validation, this external validation that your vision is also being received in the way that you intended. Right. And I was like, okay, first of all, y'all did not have to read me like that.
Right. At me next time.
Like, dang, dude.
Family. But what happened was they popped my perfectionist bubble. And for the first time, and this happened, we were headed to a marketing event in Boston. It was actually usually in Boston, but it was in San Francisco this year, the Inbound conference. And when we got in person, they said, Desiree, when you leave this event, you have 30 days. And for the next 30 days, we expect to see a post a day. We don't care if it's text. We don't care if it's video. We don't care if it's a blog. But if you don't do that, we're kicking you out of the tribe, right? They were my accountability partners, a tribe that I helped create, a community that built a Slack channel that I helped to create. But at the end of the day, they were what I needed, right? And they cut the parachute strings that were holding me back, my perfectionism. I'm trying to run, but I had a parachute of perfectionism on my back. And when they severed those ties, what happened? I did 30 days of content. My engagement on LinkedIn went up like quadruple digits. People started asking to book me. People were like, oh my God, I didn't know I had this problem. Can I have a one-on-one with you? Hey, my website is actually doing exactly what you just said. How did you fix that? And my business grew because of it. And it wasn't because I was forcibly putting content out, but I got out of my own damn way. I got out of my own head and just did the thing, which is publishing. So it's a lot, right?
I love that, Desiree. And you said this was your tribe of marketers.
Yes.
Or was this kind of like, because I wanted to also, and I know this question, we didn't send it to you, but I just came up with it. Who is your community, your tribe? Like, who makes Desiree Desiree? Because we talk a lot about community here, and like we're raising our kids together in our, so we're still trying to come up with a cool name for all the families together, but like our cousin, the cousin chaos or whatever. But yeah, who is in your circle of trust, influence, community?
Ooh, I love this question. And I love talking about my tribe. So I would say, and this is a pain point for me, because I get emotional because I wish I had found them earlier in my career. But through HubSpot, which is like this CRM and platform, their marketing events, right? I went to this one event as a lone star. This is when I was still in corporate America. And I showed up at this marketing event, this huge marketing conference with 20,000 people. And I was a Black girl who walked into a room filled with white people. And I was just like, okay, this tracks. Yeah, this tracks.
As the conferences go.
So I am walking around this space trying to find my path. And a 6'4" Black man with a Kango hat on came up and said, hey, Black girl, you want to come meet some other Black people? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, we are Black at Inbound. And he carried me over to this back corner of the conference where there was no structure, no organization. It was just a bunch of Black young professionals standing around and networking. And that family of Black at Inbound were marketers, salespeople, communications, solopreneurs, people still in corporate. And out of them, I found these core group of other business owners who were just leaving corporate. I had, just started, this is 2019. So the year before I left corporate, it felt like I found the people that were going to get me out of corporate, right? The conversations that I were having, they were like, wow, you're so insightful. Wow, you're so creative. Tell me more about that. Wow, that's a unique approach. And what I realized is I was finally having conversations with people that actually cared about what I was saying. Those conversations I tried to have with the business owners at the company that I work for, that they didn't care why the campaign performed. They didn't care how I made them the $5 million last quarter. But these people, they were like, wow, I have a similar situation, but I actually solved it differently. I'm going to use your shortcut, right? That would have been a great solution. You know what? I want to bring you in on this business deal that I'm doing because I think that you're an expert in brand messaging. And so from that moment forward, my life changed. Right. And we created this organization of Black owned HubSpot agency partners. We call ourselves the BOHAPs. And we are tirelessly fighting to support each other like corporate America would not. We show up for each other. We show out for each other. We help each other in situations where, hey, I just won this huge contract, but I have a gap here. Can you help me backfill it? Absolutely. Where do you need me? Plug me in. And so that tribe of business owners, some of them have been doing it for 20 years as business owners that left corporate. Some of them are just like me who recently left corporate, right? But I think at its core, it is a group of people, Black people, who are exactly like me. They lead with integrity, right? They know who they are unapologetically. And when we come together, we all just want to help each other rise up. Because when one of us win, we all win. And that mindset completely shifted the way that I was. And if I didn't have them, if I didn't meet them in 2019, September, there is no way I would have took that leap of faith and left corporate America a year less than a year.
Yes, I love that. BOHAP. Shout out BOHAPs.
BOHAPs. Wow. There's so much wisdom in community. And what I've realized in the last few years is that it didn't matter how much money I was making It didn't matter where I lived. It didn't really matter, what it is that my product was. 'Cause I can come up with the best idea in the world. And if I'm not connected to the right people, it won't go anywhere. And I thought that was, and many people who are listening are probably still thinking of that mindset, because this is just how it is in the Western world. We're very individualistic, and we mistakenly think that in order for us to succeed, we've got to do it on our own, so that we can get up and say, I did it without help. Or, bring it back to the hip hop. I came out the mud and it was just me.
Just me.
And nobody ever really has a tremendous win solo.
Yep.
Right.
You can make tremendous feats, but at some point you have to have and accept help from somebody.
Accept help or be willing to receive it, right? Because
Right.
I feel like also people think that they know everything, but you have to be teachable, coachable. And like to Desiree's point earlier, you were saying how you have mentors and you also are a mentor to others, like you have mentees. And I think that's the way that you should be, because you don't know everything and you should be sharing that knowledge with others, especially if they come to you. Just don't push people away, because then you're not growing. They can also teach you something.
Correct.
So definitely stay teachable.
That reminds me of something that in her review, so I have a project manager on the team, and shout out to Asia. She's phenomenal. But what she said to me at the end of her, I think it was her 60 or 90-day review, it was one line, and I honestly have this written on a Post-it note. She said, my favorite thing about being here is that Desiree is a teacher first and a leader second. And I'm like, no one has ever spoken about me like that. Like,
But and that's the other great thing about being in community, is that you don't have to be performative, right? If you don't need to be, but you also, it forces you to be able to receive compliments and to be affirmed. And especially depending on how you grew up, like if you grew up around trauma, if you were parentified or something, or, you grew up fast, like, you put yourself down here above everybody else's needs, everybody else's adulations, everybody else's accomplishments, or what it is that makes them special. And to be in community where people are constantly affirming you, at first, you'll either do one or two things, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, Desiree. You'll either accept the affirmation and be like, y'all are weird.
Y'all are weird.
Right. Y'all are weird. Please stop. Please stop. Yeah. Change the subject.
Right.
It's like, no, you're going to accept these compliments.
Yeah.
Accept them. Embrace them. Say thank you.
I have a phrase of the year, and I think this perfectly summarizes what you're saying. And sure, right, I was receiving accolades, like people would give me a pat on the back. In corporate, I used to win MVP. But I lost my mother unexpectedly 3.5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And so losing my biggest cheerleader, my biggest support system, right? I feel like what I lost was the person. She gets me every time.
Girl, I'm already crying, so it's fine.
Let's do it. Yeah, this is Roots and Rhythm. Let it flow. Let it flow.
My mother was my champion. She was my biggest cheerleader. And so when I lost her, I felt like I lost who I was, right? Because I didn't have someone breathing life into me. I didn't have someone telling me how proud of me they were. Not that I needed it, right? But when in a world that felt like it wasn't meant for a Black woman, my mother told me, like, it doesn't matter what they say.
Right.
Because you know who you are. Right. And so it took me about 2 years to get out of depression, of losing my mom, of feeling like I lost my way, like I didn't know what to do. My mom was in the hospital. She unexpectedly ended up in a coma for about 30 days before we let her go to God. And in those 30 days, I just left I was a business owner. I had a team. I had project managers, executive assistants. I got that call that my mom was headed to the hospital, and I sent one message. It said, I'm here for my mother. This is what I'm experiencing. If my business fails, so be it. I don't know when I'll be back. I don't know when I'm going to respond to messages. I know how crazy the next month looks. I can't even tell you anymore. But if you guys can't help me get through this, we will let the business go. And they were amazing. They showed up for me in ways that I never knew people could show up for another individual. And if you fast forward to those 2 years of me having the support and people believing in me and telling me, hey, let us take that contract. We'll help you. You'll get the payment. Let us just help you execute so you don't lose that client. And they did it. What it helped me realize is that I am as dope as I think I am. I was as dope as my mother thought I was and said I was. But what I didn't do was trust my own dopeness, right? And so my phrase of the year is trust your dopeness. It's something that I'm working on getting trademarked, because it is so foundational to the woman that is sitting before you right now. And my tribe is the people who told me, even though your mother is gone, you still have her leadership. You still have her cheerleader essence, right? She is still rooting for you from above. And allow us to be your boots on the ground champions. We will root for you. We will help you. We will uplift you, and we will ensure that you do not fail. But you have to trust yourself. And like, they were the ones last year who said, Des, I don't get why you're scared to be on camera. You are so dope. You are so fire. Every time you open your mouth, you are dropping gems. You are helping solve problems. And I was just like, but am I? And they said, yes. And they said, you just need to own it. And so trusting my dopeness, right? 3.5 years after losing my mom is the only thing that gets me out of bed every day. It's the thing that keeps me going. It's the reason why my team shows up the way they do. And so in a world where imposter syndrome is real, if nothing else, you need to learn how to trust your dopeness and own that, right? And I think as long as people can take that away, it will help you get through the hardest of times, the darkest of times, and it will give you the light that you might not realize you need. But I also needed my tribe in all of that, right? So, that was a...
Yes. Desiree, you are that girl. And I'm glad that you know that you are dope. But you said dope earlier. So what does dope stand for? Because I know you gave us the O, but what are the other letters?
Great.
And thank you for your vulnerability and sharing. You know, I'm a crier. As soon as you said I lost my mom, I said, Lord, here I go.
Thank you. So my dope framework is a 4-part. These are like the pillars. When I think about going from corporate to entrepreneurship, when I think about losing my mother and then getting through depression, no matter what I did professionally or personally, I've been able to kind of summarize them into these 4 pillars. D is for decide who you are. Okay. O, own your story. P, protect your integrity always. And E, embody your vision. And it's like, if you're able to do all of these things and remind yourself, right? You have a problem. Okay, wait, let me pause. Who am I? What's my story? Why am I here? And as long as you're operating with integrity, your vision will be seen, your vision will be felt, your vision will be received, and you will be able to give people the gift that you want. And for me, that's marketing, right? So yeah, that's my dope framework.
Oh,
love it.
There's so much. There's just so much to process and to unpack there. I just want to, first of all, just salute you for being vulnerable, because it takes trust to do that.
Oh yeah.
In general, and I'm sure it takes even more trust to do that on a podcast. So thank you for sharing. And I'm sorry to hear about your mom. You know, what's really going to resonate with folks is that piece right there. When we talk about what is your pain point, to think about the people on your team, or even the people listening to this podcast, just in general right now in the world, who have pain points that if they started getting some momentum, boom, something happens. They unexpectedly lose somebody, or they unexpectedly lose a job, or they unexpectedly lose a marriage or a child or something. And they're like, yo, how do I even get through this? Because when it hits you, it doesn't seem like the world will keep spinning. It just stops. And what a testament it is to you as a person and to your team that you built, because you built this team. You corralled this team. And it's such a testament to humankind that I still have to believe and have hope in, even on the days that I wake up and I'm like, there's just no hope for the world right now.
Yeah.
It is a testament to humankind to know that when you're in the right communities, when you're with the right people, when you're with the right folks around you, that your dopeness will not only be understood, it'll be celebrated. And if your dopeness is missing some on this day, like you were missing some.
Yeah.
Right.
And you had people to fill in those gaps to regenerate you. Man, this is good.
Right. And that's why it's so important to already have those things in place, and not just to lift you up when you're down, but just to be there to remind you of your dopeness even before situations arise, because then you'll know that you can handle it. So yeah, I'm very glad that they were there. I'm glad that you picked the right people, to Vlad's point. And I'm glad you have that dope squad.
Yeah.
We're glad you picked yourself, because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Now, getting a little bit back to the markets, I know that we could talk forever on this podcast. Yeah. So we were talking about perfectionism earlier, and how perfectionism being in the right community helped you get out of your own way, helped you refine your perfectionism so that you could be operational. But we do know, and this is my first impression of you, Desiree, was, damn, this girl's organized, right? Because she's got data, and she's got data-backed strategies. I am a huge fan of science. Let the science and the numbers tell the truth, right? Yep. So how do you balance using data and analytics while still keeping marketing human and relational?
Ooh, I think this is an easy one. I think it sounds complicated, but it's not. Data is just numbers, right? And numbers don't lie. And so as long as, the way that I think about it is, data help identify patterns, right? So if you have a website, right, or we've been talking about social, so let's just talk about social media. So
please, let's do.
The data tells you that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's when you have the most clicks. That's when you have the most likes. That's when you're getting the most comments. The next month, if you only post on Saturdays and Sundays, you did not let the data inform your decisions. And so data is only there to be your backbone, because numbers don't lie, right? This is why corporate America, people hated me. I was like, you're fudging numbers. All I did was take a screenshot to show that this is the actual number. It's not my fault. I inflated it. And so how do you keep it human and relatable? It's you use the data behind the scenes, right? So that you understand what is actually happening. But then you take that information and you adjust what you're doing. So I'll use myself as an example. I have a couple of different categories of the type of content that I put out. My audience loves what we call, I think I've changed it, Des Unfiltered is what we call it now. It used to just be the Des perspective. But it's different than my Powered by Howl, which is when I'm talking about the success, what I've done for my clients. My Des Unfiltered is moments like this. It's me speaking to the camera. It's me crying on camera saying, it's the anniversary of losing my mom, y'all. I don't try and flip them and sell them my services. Right. I just cry on camera and let people in my community know that I'm human and I need support right now, right? It's where I share my little tips and tricks as a marketer. But it is where I am the most Des. It is where I'm not called up. There's no editing. There's no cool transitions. It is me in my car going, I have an idea. Hey, y'all, it's Des. Right? Like that is my thing. If you've ever seen any of my content, right? Hey, it's Des. That is who I am. And my friends even tease me about it. They'll call me and they're like, hey, it's Robin. Hey, it's and I'm like, hey, it's Des, right? At the end of the day, you use the data to just inform and tell you what your audience is actually liking. And then you do more of that. Like it's that simple. It's not about juggling numbers. It's just understanding what's happening so that you can then adjust to what your audience is actually wanting. And that's what makes marketing human, is using numbers so that you have facts, right? And then just being who you are.
Wow. I mean, thank you for answering that question, because again, most will become paralyzed with the premise of starting. And all it really takes is that first step. And just you sharing, like, look, I get traffic either way, but I get the most traffic when I'm being vulnerable and I'm being myself and allowing people to come in.
Yep.
That's what creates the data that makes you popular, right?
Yep.
You know, it's funny because on TikTok, I was like really adamant about getting to 10K so I could start monetizing. Not that it even mattered, because what have I done? Probably nothing.
But you know what? I didn't even know that. I don't know if I'm anti-TikTok, but I'm like, I need to get on TikTok, at least for Roots and Rhythm.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, though, because I'd be surprised at what goes quote unquote viral and what doesn't. Because when I first started, dude, I was happy to have 20 likes, you know, not that the likes made me who I am, but I'm like, I care about what I'm posting and I want people to know. But it wasn't until I think the first video I did, it wasn't like this prepared thing that I used to, and this is what I used to do, Des. I used to prepare like in my mind, okay, that's a good idea. I could talk about this. And I would do it I just make like a little, not even a script, because I can't script. But I'd get an idea of what I wanted to talk about, whether it was about fatherhood, was about parental wounds and all that stuff. And those posts would do okay as I was growing. But it wasn't until I made a video just telling a random, I went to BJ's and I'm like, oh, there's a parking lot right there of this hotel that I would later come and speak at. Like
the DoubleTree, know it well.
Right. And I just pulled in and I was like, you know what? What am I got to do? I got to post something today. I ain't got nothing to talk about. I don't know. Something just came to my mind. Like I just told the story from my childhood it was about peer pressure. And it was about a young man who was a good friend of mine who didn't choose correctly, or he hung around the wrong crowd, and it ended up costing him everything, right? Long story short, one of his friends got killed. He witnessed it. He was blamed for it. That's not what happened, but that's how it felt to the community. And it all went back to peer pressure and I related that back to an experience that we had when we were kids. But that, like, I woke up the next day and it was like, you know, in TikTok, you usually open it. It's like, okay, you have like 20 notifications. It was like 99 plus, by the way. When you're on TikTok, once you hit more than 100 notifications in any one of their categories, whether it be likes or follows, that's all you'll see at first glance. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's like 100. It was like thousands of comments. And I was like, what the heck is going on? All I did was tell a story about peer pressure.
Real story, Vlad.
It was real though. Not that any of the other stories were real, but to your point, it was real because people like, oh my God, Vlad, this happened to me when I was a kid. I said no when I should have said yes, or I said yes when I should have said no. So I used to think that the data was like scientific. Like, all right, you tell me what I need to talk about, what's trending, and that's what's going to make me successful. Right. But it really goes back to being yourself.
Yeah. I just started following Des on LinkedIn so I could see her. Hey, y'all, it's Des.
Follow on TikTok too.
I have TikTok, Vlad. I don't have it.
If you have Instagram, you can follow it.
Instagram. There you go. I do have Instagram. Yeah.
And we're gonna share with our audience how to get in touch with you and how to find you, so they can say, "Hey, Des," in your comments, right? So here's a question, and this will be one of my final questions for you. We're Roots and Rhythm. We go with the rhythms of life, right?
Yeah.
And so as we're talking about getting up in the world and moving and getting and really capitalizing on that momentum, we always have to ask ourselves, what does sustainable growth look like? Because I might be hot now, but you know, I might not be hot next week when the motivation winds down.
Yeah.
So what does sustainable growth look like in rhythm? Which means basically, how can entrepreneurs build and grow and evolve without getting burnt out and just abandoning it altogether? Now, I know that you know what this is like because you literally left corporate America, did your thing, and you built your own team, you crafted your own life. It is so easy to get burnt out that I have anxiety about getting burnt out before I even get burnt out.
Yeah, burnout is real. Like, let's start there. I want to acknowledge that burnout is very, very real. And in a world where people look at humans like machines, and we're not, right? Machines can keep going, but humans break down if you push them to a point of exhaustion, right? Versus a computer or a system. And I say that because growth has seasons, right? And your life has seasons. And if you were a farmer and you tried to just harvest your crops year round, You would be pulling up crops that aren't ready to be harvested, right? Some crops need to be left to just wait until they're ready to sprout, right? Some crops take a year to sprout. Some crops take a couple of months. But the message behind that is, if you don't rest, you cannot continue, right? And I left corporate America working probably between 40 and 60 hours a week. When I first started my business as an entrepreneur, I was easily working 90 hours a week, real number, for at least the first 2 to 3 years. Before I had a project manager who came in and said to me, this is unhealthy, right? There's just, and it's also unproductive. She's like, there has to be a better way for you to operate. And so what I realized was, in this fight or flight mode, right? Of, I just need everything to be perfect. I want this, I need that. You miss the opportunity to sit in season. And I think that is what I realized is, in a world that's already blowing past us all, 365 days goes by very quickly. But if I start thinking like a farmer, and I am more intentional with what I'm spending my time on, what I'm harvesting, when I'm harvesting, and prioritizing that, what I realized is I was able to give myself grace, something that I had not given myself. Right? Working 60, 70 hours a week is not giving yourself grace. It is thinking like a machine. And so I think what sustainable growth looks like is, one, knowing your story, right? And knowing who you are, because that also should start coming with boundaries. Okay. And boundaries were something that I did not know about, right? In corporate America, they're like, wait a minute. You need to work all the time. If I have a question, you need to answer it. If I have an email, you need to respond. If we have things, you need to be there. And you're just like, yes, you're right. Accept, you're right. But when I left that system, I was like, wait, I can make my own schedule, right? And so for me, that looked like, I need to deprioritize the noise that happens every single day. And I started work blocking so that my clients got my undivided attention on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that I could stay in a stream of consciousness, of strategizing and being on and being fun. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, now those are my creative days, because I was trying to jump in and out of strategy and design and building and doing social media, right? Which is what happened in corporate. They expect you to be responding to emails and answering the phone and running meetings all at the same time. So yeah, sustainable growth means knowing your identity, giving yourself boundaries, creating and then not letting those boundaries be pushed back. Let's be clear, but giving yourself grace. And I think if you have a community, that combination, it will inevitably help you sustain and continue to grow year over year, month over month, decade over decade, without burnout.
Oh, I love that. Boundaries. That's my favorite. And even in corporate, because I'm still a corporate girly, I took everything work related off my phone.
Ooh, yeah.
No.
I love that.
And it's the best thing ever, Desiree, because guess what? Nothing that I do at this company is an emergency.
There it is. There it is.
You can wait for me to log in, and I only work from my computer. If I'm not at my desk, I ain't working.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing ever, because even if I turn the notifications off, I'd be in the middle of the night in my bed. I'm like, well, let me see if somebody sent me an email. For why? Right. For why? Why am I doing this? Why are you pinging me? Right. Why are you pinging me?
Yes.
And then again, my brain is like, oh, well, there's a ping. I have to check it. So yeah, I took all that crap off my phone.
I love that.
And now it's like the world could be shutting down. And we've gone through a couple rifts. You know, everybody's getting laid off in tech. I'm here till I'm not, right?
Yeah.
But I was on vacation. And again, I don't have work on my phone. Right. So people were like, are you safe? Are you safe? And I'm like, is there a tornado? Like, I was trying to figure out like what's going on in my area. I was like, why? I'm fine. And they're like, oh, they're laying people off. And I was like, I guess I'll find out next week. Like, I guess I'll wait for the box in the mail to send my ish back. But yeah, no, because you're not going to bother me when I'm trying to be, you know, at home with my family, correct. You know? So yeah, put those boundaries up, people.
And protect your boundaries, right? Like that's the other piece, because I used to have boundaries, but then the smallest thing would allow me to push my boundaries back. Now I'm a lot more stringent. I don't have as much wiggle room as I used to. And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and those boundaries, it sounds like, are also for yourself against the other part of yourself that wants you to work those 80 hours a week and become unproductive, right? And so you blocking off time, I think that's a great strategy.
Yep.
Not something that I do, but I definitely need a strategy like that, because like you said, when you're trying to build something from the ground up and it means something to you, you become so engaged in it that you honestly, you could lose yourself in it easily. But like jumping in and out of, even for this podcast, like jumping in and out of editing this, doing that, editing this, doing that, it becomes, you don't want something that you love to become something that you hate.
Exactly.
And burnout will do that, because once you are burnt out, and you saw me, we talked last week, I was burnt out. Like I was just not myself.
It was too much.
It was, I was like not, and now that being out of it, and I feel like myself again.
Yes. Exactly.
I told my wife, I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again.
Right.
It's not, look, life is life.
Yeah.
You will get burnt out sometimes unknowingly and unwittingly. But if I can help it at my hand, I don't ever want to do that again.
It's having
felt gross.
Yeah, it's having your no button on.
Yeah.
Because that's what I told Vlad. I'm like, Vlad, you went go 4 days in a row, bro. What are those days you could have said no?
Yeah,
but you felt the weight of obligation that you didn't have to.
Correct.
So I was like, turn it on. Yep. Turn on your no button.
Yeah, you need a little bit of discernment. I think that's like boundaries have to come with discernment, because if you're not able to, and this, shout out to my therapist, because she,
shout out therapy.
Growth. But she told me, right? She said, you got to choose Des. How often do you actually choose Desiree? And I said, yeah, well, between the hours of, and she was like, that's a crazy statement, right? And she's like, Des, like, I need you once a week. Okay. Once a week to do something for yourself. And I was just like, but what if I don't have time? And she's like, let me rephrase it. So once a week, you will time block something for yourself that is uninterrupted. You do not move this work block. You do not move it unless there is an absolute emergency. And even there, you're going to shift it and put it on the next day. And so she holds me accountable for choosing Des. And it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I have to choose Des over family sometimes. I have to choose Des over work sometimes. But at the end of the day, I am a better person. I am more rested. I am more vibrant. I am able to show up authentically and unapologetically every day because I give myself rest, because I turn my notifications off at 8 p.m. automatically so that I don't hear the ping of Outlook and force myself to go look at that or Slack. And so it's all of those pieces together that give me peace of mind. And I think it really just goes back to, if you know who you are and you know what you're trying to do in the world, protect your peace like it is the crown jewels, right?
Yeah.
Right here.
Exactly. Yep.
Protect your peace. My shirt says, protecting my peace at all costs. All costs.
But yeah, and I think people say that too, right? You have to put on your own oxygen mask first before you can save the world.
And that's a scary thing to think of, right? Like, the plane is going down, and you mean I don't look right and save my little nephew? Ain't no way. Right. But what if I pass out? Because
you ain't saving nobody without your oxygen mask. So yes, and people think that that's being selfish, but no, you can't continue and fill from an empty cup, or pour from an empty cup.
If anything, I feel like that you prioritizing yourself is you honoring the people that you want to serve, right?
Because you're your best version. Yeah. If you're not well rested, and bringing this back to like parenthood, if you're not well rested, you're gonna be snappy at them kids.
Exactly.
Yo, bro,
and then who's winning?
Right, and
they do not deserve that.
Right?
I'll give the example to this. When I was in my state of active burnout last week, at one point I was here with Lito. Yeah, like I was just not myself. And I'm a clown. My son is a clown. We just clowning together. Okay. And I was changing his diaper, man, and he had like a little shark hat with the teeth that you could put on. And he was like, "Daddy, put it on." And I was just so exhausted mentally that I just looked at him and I said, "Lito, I can't do it right now." And then I could tell he was looking at me. It was almost as if to say, "Daddy, what's wrong? Like, you're not yourself. Like, what's going on?" And there's no words, but I caught a glimpse of his face, and he's kind of like,
like, what do you mean?
"Are you okay, bro? Like, what's good with you?"
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized, like, dude, I need to be present. That is part of my branding, is being present and effective. I'm teaching people how to be present and effective by being present in their own bodies and embracing themselves. And here I am, not even doing that. And as a result, I can't give my son the joy that he expects from me and that he needs in this moment. It's not to say that you got to be on 24/7, right? But I'm like, I want to be present for these moments, man. And so to your point, not only will you suffer, but the business, the empire, the enterprise that you're building will suffer. The people that are looking, that are depending on your pain, on you being able to show up presently to help them fix the problems that they have. Those people will not be able to fix their problems if you don't fix your own. So, anywho, man, listen, this has been such a kingdom building episode. Great opportunities.
I can't believe we've been on this long, but yay.
Yeah, we've been on for a grip. Now, in closing, what is one thing that you would say, Desiree, to the many people, the parents, the working folks in corporate with the golden handcuffs right now, or even the solopreneurs in training who are on the fence, who are listening to this and say, this is my year, this is part of my vision board, this is part of my resolution, but I'm still overwhelmed. I don't know how to start. What is it that I'm trying to do? I'm trying to figure out. What is it that you would say to the person listening?
In 2026, I would say, let's have a conversation with ChatGPT. Take all of the things that are inside your head, your hopes, your dreams, your visions, where you're stuck, where you're not stuck, and feed that into ChatGPT and say to it, I know where I want to be by the end of 2026, but I don't understand the first step that I need to take, right? And ChatGPT, the reason I lean in a little bit there is because if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have a community where you can ask these questions and get real-time feedback, at least utilizing AI to help organize those thoughts that are in your head. And you might not even realize that it might spit out and tell you, oh, so you're trying to start a business doing A, B, C, and D. And you were never able to put that into words, right? You thought you were going to be selling this or doing that. And the AI might help you really understand what you're trying to put out into the market, right? So I would say that plus trusting your dopeness, because as long as you know who you are, right? And you are willing to give it your all, I think you're already doing more than a lot of people would, right? You are you're choosing you. You are being intentional about how you're going to take that next step. It doesn't mean leaving corporate today. I would have stayed in corporate at least another 5 years to bootstrap my business, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, for those of you that are kind of in between, if you have a passion project and you don't have community, you don't have a mentor, start with having a conversation with AI to help you realize what that business might really be or what that service offering might be, so that then you have a launching pad to start from. Nobody starts from zero, you know?
Nobody starts from zero. Sage advice, man. And that is the truth. Desiree, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to say hi, Des, or hey, Des, or whatever is going on, or if they want to get in touch with the many, many things that you do and the services you provide, how can they do that?
We are everywhere. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, both personally and the business. Howl Marketing, HQ, and Howl like a wolf, right? HOWL. You can find our website. And on social media, you can find me under Des Fractional CMO.
I love it. Angie, you have anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to say, from one Florida girl to another, Des, I loved having you on. Yes. Girl, Des, I'm very excited for our friendship to blossom now that I'm following you on all the things.
Yes.
But yes, thank you for coming on today. This was so great.
Yeah, thank you both for having me. I mean, Roots and Rhythm, what you guys are doing, I think is impactful and it's very important. And that's why I wanted to show up for you as well. And thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share my voice, for letting me be vulnerable and talking to your community.
Yes, sir. You guys know what it is. Another dynamite episode of Roots and Rhythm. Make sure you like and follow, subscribe, get this in your algorithm so we can get this going. It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your #1 Embrace coach.
And Angie, La Cyber Mommy.
And
Des, the Fractional CMO.
We are out of here.
Bye,
Stay rooted.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Roots and Rhythm podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay notified for all our updates, including new episodes. Until next time, y'all, stay rooted.
This watch, so it's counting my steps. It's pretty cool, but I need new tennis shoes, Vlad. I've had my tennis shoes since probably before Lana was born. So do you have any recommendations? I know you're on your fitness all the time.
I used to think that you had to spend at least $150 on shoes, sis, in order for you to actually get some quality ones. But I'm telling you, these new shoes that I tried out, it's like you're walking on air. Matter of fact, you don't even remember you're walking on them at all. It's like you don't even remember you put your shoes on. One time I thought I was barefoot. I'm like, yo, where's my shoes at?
Oh, I love that. And are they light?
Oh, they're super lightweight. They make my old shoes feel like dumbbells by comparison. I'm telling you, these shoes are comfortable, they're lightweight, and it doesn't even feel like you have them on. And on top of that, you can wear them anywhere. They're designed for people who are on their feet all the time, for the moms and dads who are chasing around the kids. So I would highly recommend them if you're looking for something new.
So what are they called and where can I get them?
You can get them at standplus.com. You go to standplus.com, put in our promo code ADX for an exclusive discount off of your next pair. They are the best all-day recovery shoes, so go ahead and get you a pair.
I'm excited. Thank you, Vlad.
Come on, let's do it.